We're looking at practice clips from minicamp and OTAs, and today we're looking at the Chargers. We're getting another look at Tre Harris. We're going to watch him work through some drills, catch some balls. Before we begin, you need to click that subscribe button right now because we're watching practice. And training camp is going to be here soon. You want to see what your players are doing on the field, those rookies, those guys you're drafting in fantasy football. You better click that button right now. Be on the know of who's climbing those depth charts. Today, we're looking at Tre Harris. Got a little bit of clips here. But we're going to loop this, keep talking ball. We want to talk about what we're expecting from training camp, rookie season, a little bit of the Chargers, everything in between. But here we are. Tre Harris is a prospect that really fits in line with how this team is building and coming along. Ladd McConkey's the dude. That's one thing we can definitely say. Ladd McConkey's the dude. We got Quentin Johnston. We got Tre Harris. Palmer's gone to Buffalo, so we had some targets and some opportunities open seam. Ladd McConkey's going to be moved around all over the place. He's got speed to burn. He's a very nuanced technical route runner with good feet. When you're watching that and paired with Tre Harris, that's something to get excited about. Quentin Johnston took a leap from his rookie season to his second season, so what if you get another leap? What if you get that? Because he did take a step forward. And then Tre Harris, over time, another thing, when I talk about over time, what if Quentin Johnston, you don't want to re-sign him, and now you move on to Tre Harris in that role, you get somebody else for the other role. That is something to pay attention to. Another thing I like about what this team did in the draft, the wide receiver, Keandre Lambert-Smith. I think he is one of the few dart throws in the later rounds that could be a surprising asset. And that surprising asset may not be for fantasy football, but it might be for the Chargers as big playability. This is a guy that led Penn State in targets, then led Auburn in targets. Has some high-end prospects at Auburn, and he came in there and just took it over. Auburn was stacking at wide receiver throughout the recruiting process going into last year. Keandre Lambert-Smith looked at that and took it over. That is something to pay attention to. Auburn had a very good class in 2024 at wide receiver. Had a very good class. Lambert-Smith was able to go from one team to the other and just carve out a role. Huge role. Now, you can also make the case like Tyler Warren wouldn't be Tyler Warren with Lambert there. Like, the targets would have been reduced because all the wide receivers transferred out of Penn State. And they didn't have anything to really rely on of continuity other than the running backs and Tyler Warren. The tight ends presented to you. You got to take the bull by the horns. He did. That is something that you got to recognize as well. He took the bull by the horns. Not just productive, but took the bull by the horns by being like, I would say, legendary status at tight end. But Keandre Lambert-Smith's who we're talking about. And this is a wide receiver that you need to pay attention to throughout training camp. What I'm expecting from Tre Harris during training camp, him getting some clips, him getting some opportunity. I think we'll catch some coach speak throughout camp. I think you want to pay attention to the joint practices, the 1v1s with that, because those get a little heated. As we're getting deeper into training camp, guys are recognizing they may not have a job anymore. Some of those DBs who's been around for a bit. And you're going to see things get a little bit heated. And that's where you're going to see like how they're winning, how they're not. Rookie season, I look for him to get brought along. Because you got Ladd, you got Quentin Johnston. You're building the run game here. Marin Hampton, Najee Harris. And then rookie ramp-up's probably going to be big for him. He wasn't like a top prospect, but we liked him as a very, very good prospect in this draft that we were paying attention to. I think he fits with this team. I think somewhere along the lines, he's just going to get his opportunity, and he's going to flash with it. And that could be just a couple big catches here and there. And if you're looking at this for fantasy football, redraft-wise, kind of outside the scope of drafts, more of an upside gamble. But this is the year to make your upside gambles definitely at the running back position with how deep the running back class is. And if attrition hits there, the running back position might go nuclear at some spots where it's unexpected. And then on top of that, I expect him for Dynasty to be a guy that starts climbing the ranks and gets a pop in value as soon as things open up on the depth chart a little bit more. Is he going to stay with the team for the long haul? What they're wanting to do with him, because they got Ladd McConkey. He had that rookie season with a lot of drops, but last year wasn't too bad. Last year he had some big moments. So if he builds on that, because players can get better, they can develop and have a good season, then that could allow him to build stock to stay around, and that could also cause the targets to be distributed a little bit more. Also, watch Oronde Gadsden in this offense, because he's been looking good, catching a lot of buzz from him in camp and practices. And he has some good talent to his name, and he could definitely be a guy that emerges later on down the road. And that could be another target thief. And I'm expecting running backs to take some of the targets as well. I think the ball's going to be spread around. I think the Chargers, I think how they're being built now is the infancy of what we're going to see in the Harbaugh era, of him just having a legacy with this team, him adding to his legacy for the long haul. I think we're in the infancy of that. I know I'm talking a lot of different things other than Tre Harris, but as that comes to mind, I think we're in the infancy of that Harbaugh legacy with the Chargers. That is probably going to go for a good run, if not longer. And I see it materializing. I like Aaron Hampton. I think Tre Harris is a good get to add to this depth chart, who's going to be a good role player plus. You got Ladd McConkey, who's your superstar wide receiver. Quentin Johnston, role player plus. A deep threat guy, boundary player, good hands, deep downfield. Herbert, you got your quarterback. You got Najee Harris right now, who he's on a one-year deal, but he's going to be that bridge for Aaron Hampton to allow him to emerge, develop, and you want to use two good running backs anyways. That's just part of the NFL system. When you're looking at Tre Harris, though, you got a lot of talent here. They're building very nice. And I think over time, you might get some good fantasy weeks out of it. I mean, you had some out of Palmer. The thing about that, you had some out of him. I like Tre Harris's prospect profile than what we got out of Palmer out of Tennessee. I like that. Quentin Johnston's had some fantasy weeks last season that he was usable. He had some buzz. It's definitely in the cards for him. And that's also while Ladd McConkey was ramping up, and also while Ladd McConkey was eating a little bit. I think he's going to be great down the boundary. I think he's going to be a great add for Justin Herbert. Herbert is definitely the winner right now with how this team is being structured and built. Like, the run game's getting stronger. You're getting stronger on the wide receiver depth chart. You got some good talent added in this draft at tight end. Like, Herbert is the huge winner. And over the long haul, I imagine that's going to manifest to him just moving the chains, keeping things burning. I think the Harbaugh legacy is coming. I think it's in its infancy. If I'm a Chargers fan, what I would take from this is I would be very excited macro-wise on your team. Like, I think you're going to start building that legacy. You're going to start having some deep playoff runs. I think you're going to start being serious. Also, when I look at Tre Harris, I think you're going to have a good role player plus. I think you're going to have a good player that's going to give you some wins throughout your career. That's going to help you out. If I'm looking at this for fantasy, the fact that we're on the Chargers, we got Herbert, the fact that we're at a very good price tag in all formats is something to pay attention to. Seasonal leagues, you want to make those bets at running back. This year. Like, that's where the player pools are at. You want to have multiple young running backs, young as some of the year 2 guys, but also a lot of rookies. Just having a bunch of lottery tickets spread out differently throughout your leagues, diversified. That's the thing about this. If you can fit this in, you can. I would watch the route participation rate, how many routes he's running per game. That's going to give you it's hitting to a 75-ish, that's 70+% route participation rate. That's when you start want to look in, because that could be back in the season we're in the 80 range of route participation rate, and next thing you know, we're in a matchup where you got 50 over under, and that's when you want to pull some strings, make some big time gambles in your lineup, or have him just in case one of the other wide receivers go down and you're preventing somebody from picking him up, considering the continuity of the offense that we're seeing. Just a bunch of gambles. On top of that, DFS, if you're seeing a route participation rate that's going up week in, like say we go 70% and 72, 2 weeks later, 77, that's when you may want to start making some DFS gambles. Those cheap wide receivers that are doing that you can find, that's the edge that you can get in some of these big tournaments. That could help you win $1 million. That could help you win $1 million by watching that. That's what we do on this channel. We try to watch the workload and guess the workload so we can gamble in DFS, gamble lineups, and gamble waiver wire. That's why everybody says I'm always wrong, and that's why a lot of people say I'm always right, because I don't guess their performance, I guess their workload. And then the workload's up in there from there. Because if you're getting a lot of targets, if you're getting a lot of touches in general, the odds are more in your favor. If you run a lot of routes, then your odds are more in favor of getting more targets. And if you can guess that, and if you look at the game scripts, and just look at the bare minimum numbers, and just look at all the scenarios that could play out in those outcomes, you can get closer there. You can get closer there. And Tre Harris is a guy that could sneak up on you. He's the guy that could sneak up on you this year. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I want to hear about that. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. One thing for watching. Catch you on the next video.